Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been once acquainted with the night. I have walked out in the rain and back in the rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain.
I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet. When far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night. Acquainted with the Night is a sonnet which consists of 4-line tercet and 1 couplet. Frost has experimented with the form of a sonnet by fusing the rhyme scheme terza rima. This complex rhyme scheme was invented by Dante for his work Divine Comedy. In terza rima, the first and third lines rhyme, while the second line rhymes with the first and third lines of the next stanza. These interlocking patterns makes this rhyming scheme too hard to be attempted by poets. The scheme for this poem is ABA, BCB, CDC, DAD, and AA. The rhyme scheme of the poem is tied with the image and ideas expressed in the poem. The stanza progresses from simple realistic descriptions to complex and abstract ideas. The poem Acquainted with the Night is written in iambic pentameter.
Now let's move to the main analysis of the poem. In stanza 1, there was an introduction of the story about a man who walked on the city in the middle of the night. He felt alone, depressed, and hopeless. There were personification, metaphor, symbol, and also a hyperbole found in this stanza. The personification can be found in the word night because it's not a living thing. The metaphor can be found in the word night, which means loneliness, and also in the word rain, which means problems, disease, and hard life. The symbol can be found in the word one, which means singular, city, which means out of people, and also in the word light, which means out of hope. While the hyperbole in the stanza can be found in the last line, where we as humans cannot walk the furthest city light. In stanza 2, there were 2 examples of figurative language found, metaphor and hyperbole. Metaphor can be found in the part saddest city lane. It could be mean that the city lane was a phase of the man's life and the man was remembering about the worst and saddest phase of his life. We also can find metaphor in the watchman. The meanings of word watchman could be a lot, while the hyperbole can be found in line 6, and drop my eyes, unwilling to explain. It was a hyperbole in drop my eyes. It was to overreact to someone who did not want to explain something.
In stanza 3, there were 3 examples of figurative language found. There were irony, metaphor, and personification. Irony can be found in line 7. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet. Was an irony with line 5 in stanza 2 and dropped my eyes. Unwilling to explain the man stopped by the sound But he didn't stop by watchman. He avoided people but expects there was someone who cared for him and called him. Metaphor can be found in word cry. Cry has a meaning and expressions, reaction or opinion from people to the man. Come over houses from another street, it was a personification. Activity came over referred to cry, according in the previous line, which couldn't came over from houses to streets. In stanza 4, there was only one example of figurative language found. There is only a metaphor occur in line 12, which is the word luminary clock referred to the moon. Because the setting was night in the sky and moon's rotation could be used to predict time. The moon itself was metaphor of fate, which rotating in human life. Sometimes it was dark and sometimes it was shine so bright. Sadness and happiness could happen in every human. It was only a matter of time. In stanza 5 and this poem have an ending line which was same with first opening line. It could be said that the loneliness and sadness of this man come and more than one time and it was never ending. There were paradox, personification, symbol and metaphor can be found in this stanza. In line 13 there was paradox in neither wrong and nor right. This line was also a personification because the luminary clock proclaimed the time which was an activity of human being. And in the last line, line 14, it was a repetition of first line in stanza 1. Personification belongs to the night which cannot be acquainted with a symbol of single person in word 1 and word night as a metaphor of loneliness. Hello guys, my name is Vivia.
And my name is Kadek Budiani.
I hope you like our video and don't forget to give your like and subscribe and see you next time.
See you.